Hello, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to
The
the
Mobility
Mobility
Bro.
Bros. I'm Coach Clif. I'm here with my brother Ron. How you doing, Ron?
I do it awesome, man. Awesome, man. Glad you're back, man. I kept telling folks that I was on here like a one-legged Voltron, you know.
I know. You were holding it down like the red tiger, man. You were
I
holding
know,
it down like
right?
the red lion.
We do, man.
Yeah, brother. I'm glad we had some amazing guests lately. That has been fantastic. And like you guys know, we talk about athletic mindset, mobility, the practitioner's mindset, mindset of our clients, and also pain reduction. Today, we're going to talk really, it's going to be a cool topic because we're going to be highlighting Ron over here, Ron Hylton, and what he does and what he just came home from. A lot of people have been watching the world's right, the world's
Yeah,
not Olympics, but the world's track and field at
the World
the
Track and Field, yeah. Games,
it's
yeah.
like I want to say another thing to that, because I'm always used to like something else at the end of track and field, but the world's track and field, and we've seen some amazing world records being broken lately. Shout out to USA for all the wins that they've been bringing in track. I know shout out to Jamaica, but we've been winning Jamaica too. And since I'm both sides of that coin, I'm always happy whether Jamaica wins or USA wins. But
What's
let's
up?
talk about what you have been up to and what you just came back from. Can you share a little bit about that?
So what's interesting is you have all those amazing athletes out there crushing it at the Worlds for the US. So I had the opportunity in June. Usually before the Worlds, they have what's called the Nike Outdoor National Championships. And what that is the pre-qualifier for the Worlds. And all the athletes that are looking to compete or be there for the world championship for the worlds have to qualify in the outdoor Nike national championships, and that's typically always held at in Eugene, Oregon, at the University O. Go Ducks! Yeah. So I was out there for 7 days, just really bringing value to the athletes, working on athletes, making sure that they were getting the best quality treatment. And what's amazing about that is that under this big, huge tent, there's everything, right? You have a squad of massage therapists, sports massage therapists, the best in the country, including moi. And then you
Yeah,
have
rocking B Legendary Apparel. Shout out
yeah,
to our
yeah, yeah. That's
sponsors,
how
B
we do. That's how we
Legendary
do it.
Apparel. Link in the comment below. Please help support. Go ahead, brother.
And you have the best PTs, best chiros, and sports doctor out there. Shout out to Dr. Mason. He oversees the sports med team for USA Track and Field. So and it's just a great experience, And for me, it just really taps into um, how I work, and makes me work at the highest level I can with all the tools, with the taping and the blading and the stretching and the mobility work that I do.
That is outstanding. To work with such high level pro athletes and continually working with the collegiate athletes, right? Like your hand, and then you work with your everyday working person that's in their 9 to 5
Absolutely.
or 8 to 10 or whatever they're grinding and doing. So what is the difference do you feel when you're working with someone who's living in an office, even if they're an exec making 500,000 a year to $1 million a year, versus an athlete like the ones that you worked at the Nike trial?
Yeah. So the difference is that that executive, he just wants to be able to function. And I think you can relate to this because you do a lot of mobility work, and those people that work in offices, they just they may have like tight hips, low back issues because they're sitting in a chair. They may have that what I call the hunched over syndrome,
Yeah,
and they may to
doing
be,
it right now.
have something where they just need work just so they can move through life.
Yeah,
With a collegiate athlete, they need work so they can perform at a high level, right? So now you're taking the tissue and not just you're taking the muscle tissue and you're not just working on loosening up the tissue. You may actually be pushing the tissue to the limit, and doing some and really just getting rid of to expanding, creating more blood flow, and really working and releasing on that fascia, and just really just going in and just really just getting them to, like, they may have a hip that may be like, they may have a hip issue, they may need something to stuff, they may need some really deep psoas work. The executive in the office, he may not need your hand to disappear in his hip. That may not be the thing for him.
Oh my gosh, that's just the pain that you just
Yeah. So, and I do pride myself on, even working with collegiate athletes, finding creative ways to not do deep work like that. I am a strong believer that if you go too deep with work, it does cause more inflammation.
yes it is.
So if when an athlete comes in, there's a possibility they're already inflamed after they came off the track. Everything is so everything's firing off and everything like that. They don't need you to drive into them like that. So
Yeah,
you just need some
yeah.
creative stretches like a Thomas. A good thing that I do for psoas is I do a Thomas test, and that gauges where the leg drops left or right or high off the table, and then I do some active release with that leg.
Well, that's phenomenal and a great segue point as you talk about kind of what we do for testing. But let me acknowledge first everything you said about the exec, or even like, the person working, the IT engineer. Um, those guys, they're looking for pain. Even like the construction worker who's, on the jack, working the jackhammer, breaking up the cement. Yeah, exactly. Like the thing that they're doing every single day, that same pattern, that same movement, whether it's sitting or climbing a ladder or whatever it is, can cause certain issues, and we want to release those issues so you feel comfort. We want to build strength and overall stability so you have the strength to continue throughout your day, and the endurance to keep your posture and keep your form going throughout the day, and obviously bone tissue and osteoporosis prevention and preventive injuries and all that stuff. But then you said when it came to the athlete, you're talking about pushing to the limits. You're saying like moving that muscle fiber, getting as much blood flow, but also not digging deep and causing more inflammation. It's like there's such a specific science and a difference in concept, because that high level athlete that's pushing themselves to win gold, um, they are extremely in need of optimizing as much of their muscular system, skeletal system, and nervous system as possible. And so you have to go in there with that scientific mindset of what am I going to do these things to make sure that I optimize their muscle fibers and their reaction time and their fast twitch fibers and all the things. So you mentioned Thomas tests. Are there other tests that you can do for um for these pro athletes before getting into the soft tissue work to find out what they need best? And before you answer that, I'd like to ask people in the comments, hey, have you ever had deal with? My goodness, that seems like it would be so painful if someone's hand just disappeared between my hip. So if someone's hand disappeared in your hip, please write that in the comments. I had the most deepest, most painful soft tissue work ever. This person's elbow disappeared in my butt cheek. Like, let us know if that happened to you and how you felt about it. But Ron, just to reiterate, what are some of the other tests that you do in order to find out how people are responding? or what's needed to work on for these high level athletes?
Yeah, so some of the tests, there's a bunch of things I do that I don't even have names for, to be honest with you.
That's what's up. The Rod tests, baby. Oh, this is
Content.
special.
So like one of the things I do is I actually go in like for like hamstring mobility, just simply have them lay on the table and I slowly go up and I just check where their infield is. So the infield is the point at which the muscle fibers can further the furthest that they can go, right?
The resist,
So
yep.
right, so that is the infield. So I test where their infield is, and then and from there I do what's called a PNF stretch. So the PNF stretch is basically I get them to push down into my leg, and what that do that neuro recruits the muscle fibers to get them to release, right? So it's actually like a pressure valve. You're getting it to lock, and then all of a sudden it just lets go, right? And once I do that, it actually increases that little bit of range of motion. Um,
I
so I,
like that because there's a lot of blood flow that comes into that once they're pushing down all the energy that they're putting into it. There's a lot of stuff happening inside the muscle fibers. We can get really scientific, but just to keep it basic, there's a lot of stuff happening. And because of that, it warms that muscle up in a way where you can go deeper into the stretch, right?
absolutely, it really does.
That's cool. That's a very cool one.
Yeah, there's some adductor work I do too. I have like what's called a butterfly move. I mean, I would have to actually show you,
Oh,
but
is this so?
yeah,
Sounds
but there's a
good.
whole bunch of different things I do, like to focus on whatever. If the glutes are constantly firing off, I will get my elbow in there, but what I'll do is I do that same kind of contract and relax motion. So I'll
Mm,
say, hey, squeeze your butt for me. So I have them squeeze, and then I release it and I'll drop my elbow a little bit more. All right. So just to get that, and then I'll usually have that leg bent, and I'm actually doing some mobility, some rotation, pulling back a little bit. Just,
yeah.
so um that's a lot what I do for the lower body. Upper body, if their back is tight, and I'll have them lay and have them do what I call like a cobra, have them come up off the table, and then I glide down their back like that.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
uh,
All right, don't tell any more secrets. If you
okay,
guys want secrets, hit up Be Legendary Apparel. Link in the bio. You know what to do. Write in the
yeah.
comments.
So that's
Let's-
that's just general. I have so many skills and techniques that I do working on, and not just collegiate athletes. I mean, a lot of those techniques I use on collegiate athletes, I use on just regular
Everybody, man.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
because again, we're all here to help people be at their best and feel good and feel
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Like I always say, like the difference between a collegiate athlete, a pro athlete, and IT worker or executive is literally like how tall are they, how wide are their hips? Because the skeletal system and the muscular system and the neurological system, they're similar in so many ways. We are similar human beings in so many ways, right? We all have a femur, we all have a tibia, we all
Absolutely.
have a bicep femoris, we all have four muscles in our quads. And now some of us may have had an injury or somebody got shot in the leg or someone's leg muscles were removed and maybe there's some trauma there. Yes, I'm not saying that at all. But generally speaking, we all have pec muscles, right? We all have pec muscles, right? Yep. There they go. So that's where a lot of things can be done across the board to help if the injury seems similar across the board. And that experience and education really helps
It does.
build that up and gives us the opportunity to recognize these things faster so that we can help serve others. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. So first, Ron, you're looking awesome. How are you doing? You're getting ready to compete soon, right?
Yeah, I'm about 6 to 7 weeks out. I still holding at like 176. I got like another 17 pounds ish to lose, but I'll get there.
Yeah, you will.
And then so October 21st. I still got to register for the event, so that's what I plan on doing this week and no later than next week. So I'll get to that soon. But that makes it real. Like when When you actually pay that money to show up.
Yeah.
Now that makes it super real, you know. And then it's but yeah, but I've been doing pretty good. I'm definitely putting on some lean muscle, leaning out. My abs are starting to come in. Lower level is a little fluffy, still a little fluff, but that's just it's not like this whole year I've been working on getting my girth down. I got the girth out of the way. Now it's just about getting those little that little fluff at the bottom, the love handles, and that little bit of belly left over.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you could just pick a spot and all of a sudden that spot just responds magically
Oh yeah,
versus the way our body actually works where you can't pick spots. You know,
yeah, that'd be
you have to
awesome.
just keep training and let the
Yeah,
body fat
so
change.
it's funny. One of my homegirls said, this is freaking hilarious." So she goes, "I got fluff butt." She said, "What is this when it sags? Like, what exercises can I do to get rid of that?" I said, "It's not exercise." I said, "Exercise plays a huge part of it. It's diet." I said, "It really is diet." I said, "You can
Yeah.
do all the butt work you want, but if you don't start working on your diet and start working on leaning out, all that adipose tissue is just still going to be there. You
Mm,
know, it is.
that's
I
so
mean,
true. Yeah.
it affects the entire body. It doesn't just affect your midsection. It affects everything.
Yeah.
So, and I've transformed from being, you know, a big guy into this. Even some of the earlier videos that we saw, my face was like this. Yo, I was like, "Yo, who's that guy?"
I know. I know.
So
You were pushing 200 plus.
yeah, I was 214. Now 176. So yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, it's only 25 episodes. I mean, that's only 25 episodes, but
25. It's 28. It's 28 now.
28 now. Yeah, I know, right? That's crazy.
Pushing 30.
So last question I have for you. What is the most fun you have when you're going to these things? Because this is not the first one you've done. Let
No,
us know how many you've done
yeah.
and what is the most fun, like what makes it worth the travel, the expense, the time you take out of your busy life to go and do these things? Because you can't just not everybody gets invited to be in the tent where you're in, right? So
No.
let's explain how prestigious this is.
Yeah. So my first invitation was to the it was 2020. They were calling it the 2020 Olympics, but it was 2021, really. I believe, yeah.
Mm,
Um, so I got invited to the Olympic trials, and I was out at the Olympic trials for 2 weeks. Um, Long story short, connected with somebody, uh, hit it off. They referred me to the person, Don Busner, who was on our show. And that was it. It was a wrap. And so I did Olympic trials. I did a Nike Outdoor National Championships last year, and I did one this year. And what makes it worth it? It's obviously it's one of the things to be able to work with collegiate athletes, but what makes it really worth it is the team. Um, it's the connections and the network of that team, right? Don Busner was one of the guys that we met. We had um, Eric on our team on our show. Um,
yeah, yeah, amazing people.
Allison Anderson, who's another one. So these people are like the best, some of the best of the best in the country, and just meeting these people is just and the conversations we have after, right? Because we always get together like for dinner or something like that. It's the conversations that we're having after about the human body or the athlete or an athlete that we worked on. And not only that, it's like every time I show up there, they always have some type of equipment or tool that I've never seen before, right? It's under the tent. Um, Don Busner had this thing. It's like a TENS unit, but it's a human TENS unit. It wasn't just something that just was in a specific area. He literally was stepping on a thing, had you laying on a thing, and the electricity was flowing through his hands. And I was like, yo, this is sick. And there's only 10 people, like I get around 10 people in the country that even own this machine,
Wow.
right? And so he did it to me, and then I tried it. I was like, yo, this is bananas. Like he had his hand, run up somebody's neck and you're just kind of like doing this, and it's like effortlessly working on tissue. Like you don't even have to go in on the tissue anymore. And then
Insane.
just seeing him work and just seeing other people work, you get it's being in the tent and seeing other the athletic trainers, the massage therapists, the PTs. Everyone has a different skill set under that tent, and just watching them work, it's like it's continuing ed on steroids, and it's free, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just watching everybody doing everything, and everyone's doing something high level with that, as far as their hands-on work. And then you pick up stuff like I've picked up techniques there that I probably would have not ever picked up just learning regular continuing ed in my local area. So that's what I go for. I go for that. I go for the energy. I go for I be quite honest. I go for the street cred. It's huge street cred to say that you work with Olympic collegiate athletes in track and field. And what I love the most about track and field is the diversity of athletes.
Yes.
There's so many diversity athletes, and in size and stature, and in different in what's unique about track and field is that there's so many events in that under that umbrella, right? It's not, if I was assigned to go to, say, wrestling, I would just be working on wrestlers. There's nothing different about wrestling. There's different kinds of wrestling, but at the end of the day, it's a wrestler, right? The three top sports in the Olympics that rule the world in the Olympics are track and field, gymnastics, and swimming, right? So those are the three top sports. So it's like if you get picked up for, and I would say the two top out of those three are track and field and gymnastics. And if you get picked to be on a sports med team for gymnastics or track and field, man, that's huge.
Wow.
That is massive, and then if the next step would be if or when I get picked up for the Olympics, there's a whole nother thing I have to do to even be considered to be on a sports med team for an Olympics. So and we got two Olympics coming up. We have the one in Paris in 2024, and 2028, the Olympics is going to be in LA. It's going to be in
I
LA. It's
know.
going to be in the US. So
I know.
uh,
Get the credentials done between these next couple years, right? Get the work done. I know you've said if I had a couple of specific documentation, specific certifications, specific degrees, I could definitely be a part of that team, and I'm excited about it. So I've been
yeah,
really
man, dude, we're
digging
gonna
deep.
get you rocking, Cliff, man. All you need is to get your massage license. And I don't know how long it takes in the state of New Jersey, man, but it's just what makes it so crazy is that there are so many people like you who know the human body, who know soft tissue work, and who understands how to get people functional and moving, and when it comes to doing something like this, yeah, no, you can't come because you're not licensed in this. You just have these certifications, but you have the knowledge, but you can't,
Use it.
you can't use it on that level. And it's weird because there are some people who end up finagling or getting into that way. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he actually created his own soft tissue work. And he's worked with professional athletes. I can't think of his name right now. But during COVID, I did a course with him, and he's just a strength conditioning coach, but he charges like almost 12 grand for his course to
Wow.
do to basically do active release type work, and so his work is really based on reciprocal inhibition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his entire course is based on reciprocal inhibition. I was like, I know reciprocal ambition, but he calls it something else and makes 12 grand from it. And
Yeah.
people are like falling over trying to get into his course, and he's not a licensed massage therapist. He's not a PT. He is a strength conditioning coach that ended up, he worked with professional athletes strength conditioning, but he in turn created this awesome course for
Soft tissue work.
soft tissue work.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how if it's marketed well, if you have just enough hierarchical primacy because you've worked with people who are perceived at a specific level, you can create something even without the licenses, but because of the experience and the relationships, it's valued at 12K
Yeah. Yeah.
a session. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine we've talked for a very long time now, going almost on 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's no way I would see. I know you could create a course for well over 15 grand. And if we were to put something together, we've been talking about doing a workshop or a webinar or something so we
Yeah.
could educate
Absolutely.
people. And that's coming, guys. That's coming as we continue to give out this free knowledge and experience and what we're doing and how we're building Mobility Bros and how Fitness Essentials, which is sponsored as well, sponsors this show, and Be Legendary Apparel, which sponsors the show, comes together and continues to support us so that we can drive entertainment, education, and get amazing guests on the show to share with you guys what it's like to be in our seats and also get guests that are maybe the client's seats so that we can hear from you guys what you're looking for. How is tech innovating fitness, wellness? How is the communication changing? How are people being perceived? How are practitioners adjusting and innovating? That's the type of stuff we want to continue to explore. So, Ron, man, any finals? Any last words you want to say before we see these guys again next week?
Yeah, if you have any questions about anything I said, or it's interesting. I've been having massage therapists reach out to me on how to get on a national team, and it is funny. I have some massage therapists that say, that's all expensive, and I don't know how you do that. You come out of pocket, and honestly, I just pay for a plane ticket, and everything else is taken care of. But if you have any questions about about the work I do or Clif, just reach out, DM us. We're all here to give value and service first, and help you be at your best. And that's it. And I do want to give a shout out for USA Track and Field, USATF, for allowing me to be on to go out there and give value, and the entire team, the horse sports med team, and everyone I've met and connected and built friendships and relationships with.
That's beautiful, man. I think they're lucky to have you. I know you feel blessed to have them in your life. I feel blessed to be in this, like, one friend away from a friend away,
Dude, all you gotta tell me, man. I got keys to the car and gas. Tell me around, bro. I'll be on that car, on the ride, bro.
It's happening. It's happening, man. It's happening. September is gonna be the month, brother. September is gonna be the month. I'm telling you. So thank you so much, man. This was a great insight on what you've been up to, and we'll share a little bit more about what Fitness Essentials has been up to. We've been doing some amazing things here, connecting in 3 different locations in New Jersey, still international, still bi-coastal, and just building our relationships. But Ron, thank you so much for this insight. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing talents with everyone. We appreciate you, man. Feel free to close us out whenever you're ready.
All right. I want you to stay awesome, keep stepping your greatness, and be legendary. Let's go. Let's change the world, Clif. See you later. Take care. Stay
Take
awesome.
care. See you all next week. Thank you.